last key, Ryan, let's just kind of briefly work through this one. This is the Notre Dame scoring offense against the BYU scoring defense. It's funny, BYU's 73rd in points, but they're 38th in yards and 29th in yards per play. Right? Yeah. They make you work for those points. They don't turn it over much on offense. They've had some special teams things that have kind of set up some points for them. This is an odd number for me, a very odd number. They've also had some points that teams have scored late in games. You know, I mean, you look at South Florida, you know, there's other games where the score was closer than the game actually was. I think Wyoming was a little bit that way. But, you know, they're a quality defense, not great, and these numbers reflect that. You can score on them. You can move the ball on them. You red zone, they're not that great. Third down, they're not that great. Notre Dame's been a great red zone team this year. They just can't move the ball, right? That's been their problem, right? If Notre Dame gets into the side of the 20, they're going to score. And with the exception of the first drive against Ohio State, they're mostly scoring touchdowns because I believe the second stop there, the non-red zone score, was taking a knee. Correct? So you know, so we've seen that. So you look at it and say, you know, this is a situation where Notre Dame, if they get in the red zone, they score.
Yep.
That should continue against BYU. Now, the question is, can they get into the red zone? And I think that third down success is going to be the key. Notre Dame was terrible on third down the first 3 games. They were very good on third down in the fourth game. What was different about the fourth game than the other? They actually scored a lot of points. It's that simple. Now, all the stuff we talked about before, execution on first and second down, all that kind of stuff factors into this. But Notre Dame is not right now is not playing like a really explosive team that just doesn't get into third downs. They get into a lot of third downs, and they've got to move the chains on them. And that was important in the Carolina game. It's got to be important in this game. If they can do that, they should have a lot of success and be able to score on BYU. If they're struggling on third down, and BYU can be a tough third down team at times. If you get behind the sticks, that's a key for them. Is they want to create incompletions on early downs, get some run stops on for early first and second down, put you in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, where they can drop into coverage. Yep. That's going to be a big key. So you've got to be good on your early downs to beat them.
No, so Brian, I mean, for me, BYU's defense, they win off of length, right? So we talked about the defensive line having a lot of length. We also mentioned briefly the second level has a lot of length, right? So they're going to disrupt some passing lanes kind of with that natural length they have. And to your point, and I agree 1,000,000,000%, if there was a higher percentage that I could go, I get the infinity symbol out, I guess. But Notre Dame needs to win on first downs. And that's been pretty consistent every game, you know, like that's not like a groundbreaking thing. Notre Dame needs to win, stay in front of the chain.
And it's not true for every team. If you're an explosive team, you're always a threat to score. Notre Dame hasn't shown themselves to be an explosive team yet this year. Yep. That's what makes it so important, right? To your point. Because some people say, well, it's always important. Not really. If you've got huge, I mean, Ohio State doesn't get in a lot of third downs, but if they are, they're still can score a lot of points because they're a 70-yard touchdown waiting to happen in a lot of instances, right? Oregon was that way back in the day, right? There are teams that can just, hey, yeah, we get behind the sticks, but we're so explosive it doesn't matter because we're up off 70-yard gain. Notre Dame hasn't shown themselves to be. That's how Notre Dame was not a real efficient, great first down team in 2017 or 2015, but it didn't matter because they were a threat to score from 70 every time the ball was snapped.
Yep.
Right. This team doesn't have that yet, and so that's why I want to make that point because I know how some people are going to respond to it. We got to always be good on first down, not necessarily.
Yeah. Sure. No, it's great context to have. So I would also say that the 2 points that you pointed out here that I wanted to harp on a little bit was Notre Dame's third down percentage. Like you said, it's trending in the right direction because of last week, but it's been a spot where Notre Dame has struggled on third downs. And why is that? Because if they're not running the ball well on first down or creating, I don't want to say explosive plays because you just need good gains on first down. If you're not staying in front of the chains, you're going to make it a harder job for you to have a operable opportunity on third down in a advantageous situation. And BYU, for the most part, I know they only rank 55th, but they've been a pretty good third down team to your point, right? So I think that's one thing that with how Notre Dame functions, running the ball, short to intermediate passing game, hopefully creating some explosive plays. I think you need to stay in those third and shorts, third and mediums, because I think that's the place that you're going to win in this football game. You're going to have an opportunity to create some explosive plays, but more than anything, Notre Dame needs to have sustainable drives, consistency, stay in front of the sticks. I think that's how you beat BYU.
Well, the thing is, Ryan, we're still early enough in the year, to your point, and I love that you went to the context argument, because to your point, 4 or 5 games into the year, one bad game can throw off your whole statistics. And that's what happened with BYU against Baylor. They gave up 50% conversion rate, 9 of 18. 9 of 18. And their other 4 games, South Florida was 3 of 12. That's 25%. Oregon was 4 of 12. Wyoming was 3-11, and Utah State was 6 of 18. That's what killed Utah State. They could not convert third downs. And they didn't do very good on fourth downs either in that game. You know, Utah State went 1 of 2. Teams have been willing to go for it on fourth down. They've had 13 fourth down opportunities, and teams have converted 7 of them. Right. And so, but a big part of it is because, with the exception of the Baylor game, they have been pretty good on third down. I mean, that one bad game. Now, the reason Oregon was still able to score points is because Oregon had big plays. Oregon used big plays, and that was the difference. Notre Dame needs to get to that point. I think that they can get to that point. You and I have talked about this, but the reality is they aren't at that point in time right now. Nope. And hopefully this is the game that changes that. But so far, you know, that's just not who they are. And again, the BYU game, the BYU Oregon game, was a different deal. You know, I mean, they had a 4-play, 64-yard drive to start that game against them. They had Oregon had an 8-play, 75-yard drive. Again, had a big play wrapped into that. And then they had a couple short fields. They had a 35-yard touchdown drive in that game as well. They were up 38-7 at one point in time. You know, but they were able to use some big plays to have success against Oregon. So, I mean, against BYU. They had 50-yard gain to Troy Franklin. They had a 36-yard run from Irving. Chase Cota had a 20-plus yard gain. Matavio he's a tight end, right? Had an over 20-yard gain. Chris Hudson had over a 20-yard gain in the pass game. So they were able to use big plays to set up their scores. Oregon didn't consistently move the ball up and down the field on them just by converting a million third downs. They were able to get some big plays that got them into touchdown range and they were score points. So Notre Dame hasn't shown that they can be that offense yet. They're going to have to be able to do that against BYU. And if they run the ball well, I expect them to be good on third down.
Yep.
I do. And I expect them to have fewer third downs, to be honest with you. If they're good on first down running the ball and throwing the ball, if Notre Dame can dominate first down, they will dominate this game. I truly believe that. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Because BYU is not a great 3rd and 3 team against a team like this, because of the type of matchups that Notre Dame can do.